Major League Journeymen back in the house, back to school. We got my kids, big moment for the Gargan household, sending 3 kids out of the house this morning. It's also, by the way, 130 degrees in St. Louis on the heat index scale. I don't know if that registers in your guys' world, but it is hot. I've already made one outfit change today before 9 o'clock in the morning because I walked 5 blocks to and from school. Absolutely brutal, but probably does cover the cost of admission for my kids being in school and us having a little bit of a normalcy, consistency, hopefully in our household. Dax, your kids are probably a little bit too young. Gordo, are you back on the bus? Where are we at?
We've been back for a week, baby. We do things.
Back for a week?
Back for a week. We do things. You know, the West Coast is always ahead of the East Coast in every fashion, going back to school. I sent out an Instagram, which was classic. My youngest, Jack, was escorting Bobby Burling's first kid into kindergarten on the bus this morning. So what that means is the Gordons have been taking care of the Burlings for a very, very long time. That's what that means.
That just means there's going to be another generation of Burlings that are going to get corrupted by the previous generation of Gordons. Yes, is really what that means.
And dominated.
And dominated. Dax, easy segue. You were in school this weekend, apparently. We caught a big game, Leagues Cup final. Is it too early?
Game,
is that close to home?
No, man. I was taking notes just like your kids, just like my kids.
Goodness, the GOAT in person. You wore a pink shirt today in honor of Inter Miami, or what?
I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed this. I'm just naturally gravitating towards pink shirts these days.
I'll tell you what, it seems like the entire world is, definitely this country. Amazing game. I think it's easy. It's easy for me to say that. Incredible level, incredible atmosphere. I was not in the building, but we saw all of the stars that were in attendance. I think everybody and their mother was trying to get tickets. I'm sure you got hit up. I'd set the line, Gordo. I'm setting the line for ticket requests to Dax, which I can already put your 7 in this line. So I'm putting it at 85 separate ticket requests. You take but judging by that reaction, maybe I overshot a little bit. Under. Okay, so let me reset the line.
Many people. So
I don't have that many friends.
27.
I don't have that many friends, but definitely under. And I think people. There are a few people that are out of touch with reality that certainly hit you up for tickets, and then there are those who you are actually friends with who are in touch with reality, and they say, "Hey, man, I understand how it's going to be like." I won't hit you up for tickets.
Sure.
I had one guy who I don't know at all drop into my DMs and say, "Hey, the tickets for this game are pretty expensive. Like, do you know any other way I could get a ticket?" Hint, hint, wink, wink. I'm like, "Hey, man,
me, Dax."
I'm like, you know what? I respect you. I respect you shooting your shot. The only other way to get tickets is for me to give them to you, which I cannot and I will not be doing because I don't know you. But man, it was quite the build up for the game. I had quite a few ticket requests that I had to say unfortunately no to, but I had my parents in town. My brother flew in for the game. Funny enough, I had my best friend from the under-17 national team when we were in residency together, and then we also went to college together.
That's cool.
We still keep in touch. He actually booked a trip to come visit me with his wife and his 2 kids when we were originally supposed to be playing New England last weekend. But I didn't even think about Leagues Cup, right? Because you're just like, I don't know like how the tournament's going to play out. Like it's kind of at the back of your mind 3 months ago. And then we end up getting to the semifinal and he was like, "Dude, your game against New England just got moved. Are you playing Leagues Cup in Nashville? Are you going?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. If Philly wins, we got to go to Philly." So he was like, "We might have to cancel the trip." And so he was planning on coming to a regular season New England Revolution game, ended up getting a Leagues Cup final with Messi. And so I think that worked out pretty well for him and his family and his wife. But man, the build up to the game, it was something else, let me tell you.
Max, how many tickets were you guys allotted? per player?
We were only allotted 4 tickets. There are normal 4 tickets.
That out? You had your parents, you had your wife and kids.
Well, they gave you the option to purchase tickets when they went on sale.
At what price?
At face value of the tickets. So a couple $100 each. Okay. They gave you that option. So I had to do some maneuvering. There were a couple guys that had tickets floating around that I was able to finagle. And then I bought a couple extra tickets.
That was going to be my next question. How possibly could some players not have guys to give those to? I mean, out of country, just no friends kind of near, or
yeah, I don't. You'd have to ask them. You're really on the a lot of people in Nashville have no friends train, including me, huh, Gordo? I mean, I don't know. Hey, maybe people's friends are respectful, and they just say, "Hey, I support you. I'll buy tickets to the game. I don't want you to stress about getting me tickets."
I'm going to go out on the limb here.
That's not what my friends are like. So.
Hey, I'm going out on the limb here, and I'm saying if you can't give away four Messi tickets to a final. Probably have no friends. No disrespect, but you have no friends. I'm sorry. Like it's a wake up call. Like
yeah, well,
it's a wake up call.
You know what, Gordo? Maybe people just like to have their space, and their friends are respectful, and they don't want to fly in, and they'll just be happy watching the game on TV. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. But there were definitely some extra tickets that had to be purchased. And I got to say, like. Shout out to our team admin. He was able to get my friends and family that were there in the same section, which kind of had to be a hassle because as you probably saw, there were a lot of tickets up for grabs on the resale market, just absurd prices. Mm-hmm. And some people were like, I don't know if people are going to be able to sell these tickets and if it's even going to be a sellout. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, there was not an empty seat in the place, and it was absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it certainly translated that way watching the game. LD was there. What was LD doing there? Any idea?
Just doing LD things, man. Things. It's actually funny. I had breakfast with my agent this morning, Mr. Richard Motzkin, who obviously is with Wasserman Media Group. Him and Spencer
is he still
Wadsworth.
In town?
He was still in town. Yeah, a few days later.
Okay.
I think he's leaving today. But anyways, we had breakfast and him and he's Landon's guy. And he just said, listen, I asked Landon if he wanted to go to the final and, do a couple appearances. And I think that's what he was in town for and just got to enjoy the game. So it was funny because there was a little bit of a who's who of former MLS greats and celebrities and Giannis and I kind of felt like we were courtside at a Lakers game there for a second.
Reese Witherspoon in town.
Nicole Kidman. Yeah. It was pretty impressive, man. And we got, I tell you, the cross pollination of support between like the Titans and the Preds here in Nashville is really cool. I mean, we got a ton of hockey players that come to our games. A couple NFL guys come to the games. It's been really cool to see the evolution of the fandom of Nashville SC here. And obviously it all culminated with probably a top 3 atmosphere that I've ever played in, ever. And I got to say, you guys, I don't know if it came through on TV. I think it probably did. But even the beginning of the game, I really wanted to touch on this. Gargs, you know how they did the walkout entrance stuff, right? It was all individual player introductions, everyone walking out.
Yep.
So Miami went out before us. Messi's the captain. He's the first guy introduced, and the stadium is pretty loud. But there's a smattering of cheers and a smattering of boos, and I loved it. I loved the boos coming from our fans because it seems like wherever he's gone and wherever he's played, it's only been like he's had it like everyone's just dying to see him play and not really support their team. Our fans were incredible, man. And I love the fact that they were booing him and making sure he knew that they were there to support us. But that was obviously one of the loudest sounds and eruptions for a player entrance. The last player that was introduced was Hani Mukhtar. And the chants when he was walking out of MVP were absolutely deafening. And I legitimately still am getting chills thinking about it. And I was thinking, to be walking out as Hani right now when you got the greatest player to ever live on the field and you hear those chants, I mean, what a moment for him, huh? Like
Yeah.
that was when I knew, man, like Nashville, like we're a soccer city, like full stop. You know what I mean? Like that was super, super cool to hear and be a part of.
Yeah,
That's saying something.
He must have felt like he was dragging his balls on the.
I was gonna say he must have felt like Thanos in that moment, just like walk strutting out, like, dude, king of the world, man. But yeah, just the atmosphere was incredible.
We'll go back to the game, but I want to continue this kind of conversation here. Do you feel like Nashville is going to turn a corner now, or do you feel like this was kind of like a one-off, like, I don't know, just some really good games, really good atmospheres? You got benefited by playing a couple, big time Mexican clubs. Then you play the GOAT. Like, maybe the league as a whole.
Are you talking about just in terms of like supporters?
Yeah, not Nashville, the soccer team.
I gotta say,
soccer city.
I gotta say, I take a little umbrance with that connotation that this was just because of Leagues Cup and Messi. Dude, our supporters.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking.
No, I'm telling you right now.
Our
supporters have been from day one fantastic. Like creating an actually loud, organic atmosphere where it genuinely feels like a real home field advantage. And you can't say that about too many places in MLS. But look, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. Like the atmosphere for a semifinal against Monterrey and a final against Miami and Messi, those were two of the best atmospheres that our fans have produced. But consistently from 2020 to now, our home field advantage has been one of the best in the leagues. And it's because of, I think, the support we've received. I think it's because of the moderate success that we've had in being competitive right away. And I think it's because of, some big time players that we have that I think are really easily likable. Guys like Hani, guys like Walker, they've come in and they've, I think, really helped kind of create the buzz that we have here in Nashville. So yes, to answer your question, the fan support is going to stay on a massively upward trajectory, continuing. I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah.
It also helps you guys are having a phenomenal year.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think the question was disregarding the support you guys had before, but I think, I think with any team, and you made the point at the end there, Jax, but when your team does well, then they come out to watch. They come out to watch in droves. And so I think that even though you guys had a really good fan base, I think, the word
What I would say, Gargs, to the point of your question, have we hooked in some new fans that maybe weren't supporting us before? Yes.
Yeah, that's
zero doubt about that. And that probably was more of the point of your question. There's no doubt that we have hooked in people that maybe were on the fence of, do I want to support this team? Do I want to buy season tickets? If you were at the semifinal or the final, there's no way that you were at a better atmosphere for a sporting event ever. Seriously, I really mean that. And so, yes, to that point, there's no question that it's going to take off.
Gordo, are we at a point where this is MLS versus Messi? I was thinking about this on the weekend because he is dominating everything, right? From everything that is out there, and in large portions, I would say deservedly so. But it also seems like he's one guy, right? He's the GOAT. He is what it is. And it seems less about Miami, more about Messi right now. He's pulling it along. It's starting to feel very much like it's a competition between the league and Messi, and not from a league perspective. I'm talking about from like an overall competition perspective. Are you feeling that the same way?
1,000%. 1,000%. It is the MLS versus Messi, because listen, when he's coming in, we've all been doing the best that we can, and we've talked about this so many times, how far the league has gotten, how much better these teams have gotten in the MLS. We're putting together a pretty good product on the field that we're proud of, right? And we all know that I speak for the everyday soccer player now, right? that I'm listening to from
self-anointed.
And all
self-anointed everyday man voice, Alan Gordon.
I'm a man. I'm a voice for the people and of the people. And what they're saying is,
are you also selling brake pads?
and listen, I'm starting to get defensive. Because Nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop him. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, I don't know if anybody's ever been able to stop him. But now
no one has, right?
No one has, right? And that's what I'm saying. But he's taken this league, and they are assuming that MLS players are like high school kids, because he's doing whatever he wants. And I'm getting defensive because it's not like that, but it is becoming. He has given everybody what they wanted.
It's a little bit of like a race to like, hey, who can stop this guy from scoring a freaking goal first?
Exactly.
Totally. I mean, so he's got Cincinnati in the Open Cup semi in Cincinnati. I don't know what the line is, but I went out and I said that I thought Nashville was going to beat Miami. And I think that Dax, if I'm looking at it objectively, I think that you probably could have. As in, like, it would have been a fair result had Nashville walked away with the win. But do you take Cincinnati? Do you think Cincinnati's going to beat them on Wednesday? Semifinal Open Cup.
They're not going to win every game, Darts. I mean,
I think that Cincinnati wins the game, and I say that merely just because Cincinnati is a really good team. They haven't lost at home this year. We beat them in penalties, but guess what? In the Leagues Cup, if you draw a game, you're going straight to penalties, and there has to be a winner and a loser. Mm-hmm. Messi and Miami, they deserve a lot of credit. That's gone their way. They've been very good. But if you look at their two games that they played on the road in Leagues Cup, Dallas 4-4, they won in penalties. Nashville 1-1. They beat us in penalties that came down to goalkeepers, like literally 11.
Well, Philly too.
Philly too. I did forget about Philly, but that was, yes, that a good point. So 3 games on the road, 1 game they won outright, and then 2 games they won in penalties, which we all know they're coming up on another knockout game. But if you're in MLS league play, like that's just a point, right? Like that's not 3 points. And so what I'll say is that going into the game, and I just want to talk about the experience of actually playing in the final against him and kind of what that was like. Going into the game, there's a lot of hoopla surrounding the game. It's almost like Oscar Pareja said. It's a little bit of a circus, and that's just a fact. You can't get away from it. For sure. But once you are in the game, it's hard to not look across the field and see the names on the back of the jersey and know who they are, know who you're playing against, and get overwhelmed. But I think once it becomes a little bit more normal, and once people start to see different types of game plans, different types of ways that teams are going to go about trying to stop this team attacking wise, I think it's just going to continue to get harder and harder for Miami, especially on the road. When they're in Miami and when they're buzzing and when they have confidence, I think they're going to be a very tough team to beat, and they're probably going to win a lot of games. On the road, you guys know how it is. We talked about this. Man, Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba have played such heavy minutes for a month. Like, it's going to catch up to them eventually because they're going to have to continue to keep playing heavy minutes in order for this team to be successful. But going into the game, into the final, the whole conversation was, let's respect what they're capable of, but not be scared of them. Because in every game they've played, it's almost looked like people have given them too much respect.
Totally. Right? That's what Philly did. Philly did it for 45 minutes and lost the game.
Exactly. And played with a little bit of fear, like walked on eggshells a little bit. I'm really, really proud of the way that we played with Nashville because we didn't do that, right? Like, first play of the game, I think it's like 30 seconds into the game, Messi gets the ball in midfield, and Anibal Godoy, I don't think either of you guys saw the first half, but Anibal Godoy gives him just a little, hey, hello, forearm shiver to the back. And the ref called a foul, and Messi almost turned around and was like, I can't believe you just touched me. And it was awesome. It was perfect because Godoy set the tone. He's like, look, whatever happens, you could be amazing and you could be spectacular, but it's not going to be easy for you. Like, we are going to try to make this as hard on you as physically possible. And look, I think
Godoy is the perfect villain to do that.
Yes,
like
exactly.
He plays that role so
and
well.
He looks like a James Bond villain, so it is actually perfect for him. But I just look, I'm not going to tactically and technically break down the entire game. I just want to say I'm very proud of how we played. I think we limited Messi to a big extent. I think before the last play of the game where Campana missed that chance, which I don't know how that happened, but I think before that, I think we limited them to like 4 or 5 shots, maybe 2 on goal. One was the goal and one was like maybe a shot from Robert Taylor in the first half. And just like the recipe that we used and the way that we defended, and then the way that we also played with the ball and tried to hurt them in transition and also with possession. I think it's one of the best games that we've played as a group, considering the stakes, considering how the moment, considering who was on the other side of the field. I've never been more proud to be involved with this club in Nashville SC, because that performance is something that I'm really proud of, and I'll never forget it. Did we lose the game? Yes, and it hurts. And did Messi come up with a moment of magic where you sit there after the ball goes in and you're like, how the hell does this guy do it? The goal is insane. The ball pops out to him. First of all, there's a video.
Hold on. I want to ask you a specific question before you get into this.
Yeah.
He skips around Zimmerman. You come from behind again and engage him before he lets that go.
Yeah.
At what point in your mind were you like, oh shit, this is in the back of the net? Was it when he touched the ball and before he went around Zimmerman? Was it when you were just a split second behind and he gets the shot off? At what point was it when it whizzed past your ear? Like
when I realized that I didn't block the shot, I started thinking, this is trouble. Like it's probably going in, because him in that position, he's almost inevitable. And the crazy thing is, there's a video on social media, and it's someone that actually just happens from the stands to be filming Messi.
Dude, I saw that.
The minute and a half lead up to the goal. He's standing out on the right side of the field. Miami has possession. He's not marked by anyone because everyone's shifted over, right? We're aware of where he is, but
doesn't even look like the game is being played.
Dude, he's walking around.
Gordo, have you seen this video?
He's walking around for a minute and a half.
It looks like a fanboy video because there's literally no one around him.
And
for a minute.
And then you see him, like his ears perk up when as soon as like the ball goes in behind, he starts to he turns it on and he starts to sprint. So we were a little bit out of balance, a little bit out of shape in that moment, and we actually like defended the initial play pretty well. Lucas McNaughton, I think, blocks a pass or a shot, and it just happens to fall perfectly into Messi's path. So I'm recovering. You see me recover kind of in the box, and he starts to cut in on his left foot. Walker steps out of the back line to engage him really well and actually gets kind of unlucky because Walker, if you look at it, he touches the ball. He doesn't win the ball outright, but he touches the ball and kind of the deflection right back into Messi's path. It's just what happens with people like this, right? It's just everything seems to go their way. Their touch is so silky smooth. It's just there's nothing you can do about it. It's true. So anyways, once he takes that touch and I kind of go around Walker and I'm like, all right, let's get a block up right now. I'm like, in that split second, I'm trying to figure out how high do I raise my leg to try to block this shot. If you raise it too high, he could go underneath it, cut it back across the goal. If you go too low, he could go over it. I ended up raising it. I when it went by me,
you're also covering a ton of ground to get to that space, which also puts you in a vulnerable position because your body is moving at the pace that it is, and you're not really able to cut back.
There's 4 Nashville defenders around him. I still try to block the shot as soon as it goes by me, and I start to think, oh shit, this is probably a problem. I turn around, our goalkeeper's diving. I'm like, there's no keeper that can save that. No. And there's probably, I would hazard a guess, there's like maybe 5 players on the planet that could do what Messi just did in that moment. Right. And so what are you going to do, man? Like the guy, like I can live with us conceding a goal like that to a player like that. What I couldn't live with is us conceding a tap in or a goal where we're not aware of where he is, or a shot where he gets free and there's no one closing him down. Like I can't live with that. I can live with him scoring a world-class goal. We responded well. We played well. We got back into the game. The only other sniff at goal he had was the one he hit the post in the second half, Gargs. And you guys will love this because we've already given Sergio Busquets tons of praise, but playing against him is just hilarious. I'm on the wrong side of Messi. The ball's kind of circulating around, and I'm thinking I have like half a second to recover and get behind him. Busquets is about to get the ball, and I think, all right, any other player in the world, I don't think about it in this moment, but I'm thinking, all right, Busquets is going to take a touch because he's not even looking at Messi. He literally just plays the ball one touch into the space where I was going to recover to, but because he played it one touch, it goes perfectly into Messi's stride, and then I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm beat. So then I'm like he struggling to recover, and I just have managed to get like the tiniest little bump on him at the end, which does it throw him off? I don't know, probably not. He might have just miscalculated the shot, but it bounces off the post, and I'm thinking, how these guys they're on another. It's telepathic, seriously, because that Busquets is looking for him, and we did such a good job of closing down passing lanes throughout the whole game. Busquets finds him in that moment, and you're just thinking, how do these guys do it? They don't even have to look at each other to know what's going to happen. It's really impressive. I can't really say enough about it. I mean, it's the fact that we were in the game, and the fact that, like, in my opinion, like in the second half, we were the better team and we should have won the game in regulation. I think it just speaks to how well we did play. And look, that's not really going to help me sleep at night because we lost out on a trophy. But I can live with being proud of our group and our performance, man. And I'm really happy that we played with no fear. And that was like the biggest thing that I wanted to get across to the group, and that we did well.
Let me ask you one follow-up Gordo question, okay, that I was just thinking about. So, like, in basketball, like when the defender's standing under the hoop and somebody just comes and jams on him, you get posterized, right? And that's always the card, right? That's always the card. It's great. So one would argue, not me, one would argue,
but someone would argue.
Someone would, that you kind of got posterized there, right? You're in position for a great camera shot, right? So my question is, the person that gets this picture out, okay, with your back, Messi hitting it for the game winner, would you put that up in your basement with like all the other jerseys? Because or is that too painful for you?
Gordo, it's crazy. It's incredibly painful. Like, that will never happen.
That would never happen?
No.
You're not like, just because it's messy though. Like if it's somebody else.
Gordo, would
if it was me
basement?
actually blocking the shot, yes, that would be something that you consider. No.
Okay, I respect your answer. That's great.
That's a crazy question.
For our listeners, whoever come up with that photo, if you could just frame that and send it to Gordo so he could put it in his basement, that'd be great. Because it definitely will be going up there.
Just to make Dax try every once in a
You're a cruel man, Gordo.
You're a cruel man. So not to skip through the game, but we'll skip through the game because there's only so much time to talk about all of this stuff. I did catch the awkward interaction of you on the field with Messi. They showed like a very, very small snippet of the jersey conversation exchange. Do you want to share what that conversation looked like or sounded like?
Yeah, it was very quick. I went up, we shook hands, and I said, "Cambio." That was it. And
with your impeccable Spanish.
Yes. And he actually in English said "in the tunnel," and it was pretty clear why he wanted to celebrate with his jersey on, which that makes sense. He doesn't want to celebrate with pictures and everything with a training top on. So, look, this has caused. I posted the picture on social media. This has caused quite.
Hold on, Dax. Hold on. Before we get to that, because I think this is a very unique thing that happens, and it's specifically to soccer, and it's discussed all the time. Was this for you as the captain of Nashville? Did you guys talk about this, like who's getting Messi's jersey? Because I think in any other locker room that I've been in, that's a conversation.
So, point of correction: Walker Zimmerman's the captain of Nashville SC. I am the former captain of Nashville SC.
Former captain,
sure.
Okay.
But
clarity.
The truth is, there wasn't a ton of conversation happening in the locker room about it. There were, a few whispers here and there about, okay, like, someone's going to ask Messi to trade, whatever. And so Hani Mukhtar actually came up to me a few days before the game. I was like, hey man, like, do you want to trade with Messi? And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit there and like demand that I be the one, but like, if it just so happens to happen organically, like, yeah, like if he still has his jersey, I'll ask him. That's a collector's item. And so Hani was like so great. He was like, all right, cool. Like you trade with him now. Like we got a game in like 8 or 9 days in Miami. Like I'll try to get him down in Miami. I'm like, cool, perfect. So after the game, like I hadn't even thought about it. I was actually like still trying to process the loss and how devastating it was. Comfort Elliot Panico telling me was great, fantastic throughout the whole Leagues Cup. I felt so bad for him because he was so good for us and he didn't deserve.
That was a tough way to finish, man.
He didn't deserve that. Look, when penalties happen, you guys know it can happen to anybody. So I felt bad for the guys, man. I felt bad for our group. I felt bad for our fans. It was like not even close to the first thing on my mind. So I was walking around, I was shaking everybody's hand, and after about 5-10 minutes when their celebrations dissipated, we just started, shaking their hands. Tata Martino was all class. He came up to all of us and was super complimentary. I'm shaking hands with Javi Morales, like, great game. Good luck to you guys. Like, congratulations, whatever. And then people were going up, shaking guys' hands. And then Messi just happened to be the next guy, like, for me to like go and see. And I'm like, oh, like, he still got his jersey on. Like, I'm just going to ask him, you know, because he still has it. And so whatever, that's kind of how that all played out. And then I went back into the locker room after we got our medals. Gary Smith gave a great speech after the game. And after about 10, 15 minutes, I went back into the tunnel. And I was with my kit guy. We were just, you know, kind of reflecting on the game. And I was just kind of waiting around, having some conversations with some people that were in the tunnel, some old friends. And finally, once Inter Miami was getting off the field, Messi had about 15 photographers and security personnel around him. And he actually saw me, and he was just like, hey, like, and he gave a little like gesture, and I was like, let's do it. And did the jersey exchange. I got his jersey, dapped him up, said, thank you, good luck the rest of the season. He said, good luck. He said, whatever. I don't even know what he said, but he, I'm sure, is going to do the same with the McCarty jersey that I'm going to do with the Messi jersey, put it under glass, frame it, add it to the collection. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even have the jersey anymore, but yeah, man, it was a cool experience. It was a cool moment.
Do you have a photo of that did anybody pass that along?
I don't have a picture of the, oh, okay. There we go. Statman Jack just found one because I hadn't seen a picture of the exchange. So Statman Jack, that's why you could pay the big bucks, buddy. Appreciate it.
That's a good one. That's one you get framed and throw in your basement. That's for sure.
Sure. And so then look, after the game was over.
What happens on Twitter? Because this is a whole nother deal.
I have to say, like, I wouldn't even address this normally, but this thing kind of took on a life of its own. So after the game ends, like, I'm with my friends and family. We don't do anything. And then the next morning, we're all lounging around having our coffees, and I throw up a picture. There needs to be a little bit of context because I threw the picture up, and I think my caption was it wasn't a total loss or something, with the picture in my kitchen. And the context involved here needs to be, I tweeted something out prior to that, talking about the game, talking about how, kind of the game went. And I'll tell you, because the jersey picture took on a life of its own. And I don't, haters and trolls, it comes with the territory. You guys know how it is. So I don't really care about that, but it was more so if some Nashville SC fans were rubbed the wrong way by it. That was something that I didn't want to have happen. So I tweeted out after the game, I said, the result is obviously a swift kick to the groin, but I couldn't be prouder of our team and our city. Our response after the GOAT does GOAT things was awesome. So much character in this group. It hurts, but we will be better for it. Plenty of good nights and memories to come. So I tweeted that out first. Then I tweeted out the picture of the jersey, and I said, the night wasn't a total loss. The only regret I have is that caption is probably like, it's a little, I think a little bit tone deaf, and just because it hurt, man. Like, I don't want to minimize the fact that losing a final is heartbreaking. I've played in 4 finals in my career. 4. And I've lost 3 of them. All 3 in MLS. The only final I've won is the Gold Cup final in 2017. I've lost a US Open Cup final. I've lost an MLS Cup final, and now a Leagues Cup final. The shit hurts, man. And I'm going to think about those games for the rest of my life. And so I don't want to minimize that or downplay that. And so I think what happened was a lot of people that aren't fans of our team and are fans of other teams kind of like jumped on board and just said like, oh, like if one of our players did this, I would be pissed. Like, this is so tacky. This is so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really pay too much attention to it, guys, honestly, but it just picked up a life of its own, man. And so I'm just making sure our fans understand, like, hey, you won't find someone who is more hurt and devastated and pissed off about losing. The fact that I am also a fan of soccer, the reason why we do this podcast, the reason why I watch so many games is because I love the game almost as much as I love my kids. You know what I mean? Like, this game is just a part of me. I watch more soccer than Gordo has. I've watched more soccer this year than Gordo's watched in his entire life. Okay, I just love the game,
which is not saying much, Dax. No, but you could come up with a better metaphor.
I'm just a fan of the game, and I'm a fan of greatness. And so, in that moment, when you're on the field and you go toe to toe with, in my opinion, the greatest player to ever live. That's just how I feel. Some people feel differently. Some people feel the same. I'm thinking in my head, okay, I actually got his jersey, his game-worn jersey in a final, which how gracious he is, how humble he is, that type of stuff will never cease to amaze me. I don't care if people are sitting there saying, wow, what a fanboy moment. I can't believe MLS gets away with that. Mbappe like would never do something like that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm Dax McCarty. I've played in MLS my whole career. I have zero shame about that. I'm totally secure with who I am as a person, as a player. And I just played against the best player of all time. And he scored a great goal on me, but I went toe to toe with him. And I'm so proud of our performance in the final. I'm sad we lost, but this is a moment that I'll never forget. And this is a keepsake item that I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life. Like, I'll give this to my kids. Some people were joking around saying, what a nice retirement plan for you. I'm like, guys, I'm not selling, like, this jersey's never leaving the McCarty family.
That's never going anywhere.
Look, I just wanted to make sure Nashville fans appreciated the fact that, like, I didn't want to minimize and downplay how upset I was about losing, but it is something to share with the world. And when I tell you it took on a life of its own, I'm talking tabloids in England are picking this stuff up.
So and what did the tabloids say? The tabloids
are they're a bunch of pricks, dude. I got to be honest. They're picking up something. They're not really picking up on essentially what I said and just posting a picture with the Messi jersey. They're picking up on something Jen did. And that's my wife. You guys know Jen. You know she's active on social media. And so she was responding to someone who said something to my picture or to something online, basically saying, are you going to hang that jersey up? And Jen, you guys know how she is. She's very sarcastic. She likes to share things on social media.
Dude, her response is brilliant.
It's brilliant, right? It's like, hey, by the way, his jersey, it smells like straight cologne. And it's like, like, don't act like you would be above smelling Messi's jersey after a game, because guess what? It wasn't washed, okay? And so the funny thing is, I laid the jersey down on my dining room table when I got home. And one of my buddies picked it up and was like, dude, this is like obviously really cool. And then he had it. He didn't like have it in his face. Like, oh my God, Messi. You know what I mean? He was just like, dude, it kind of smells like cologne from afar. So then it kind of got passed around and everyone was like, okay, it doesn't smell like sweat, which, by the way, there's context involved in that too.
Was it wet?
It wasn't wet, dude. It wasn't wet. And it's an August night in Nashville. What? Everyone is like sweating profusely. And I swear, I shit you guys not. I talked to Lucas McNaughton after the game, and he was a center back who was around Messi just as much as the midfielders were. He goes, Dax, I was close to this guy in the 80th minute of the game. And I kid you not, he did not have a bead of sweat on him. And I'm laughing. I'm sitting there laughing because I'm 36 years old. The only way I'm staying on the field is if I bust my ass and run until my legs fall off every single game. Messi, you watch him, he is not running an ounce on defense. He's only running when he gets the ball, and even then it's little short bursts and sprints. So it doesn't really surprise me. Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me that he didn't have too much sweat, and the fact that like maybe he put some cologne on before the game and it rubbed off and it just so happens to smell good. I don't know. All I know is that the tabloids took that and ran with it, and it's like I'm some sort of like celebrity English player. Like, how is this even possible that it makes news over there? It must be slow news day in England. So my wife, you know, Jen, she was a little bit perturbed by the expression they used. They called her a wag. Don't call her a wag. You guys know she's not a wag. And I have to say, like, they're the haters and trolls. Like, I love it. Like, it is what it is, whatever. I just wanted to make sure the context of the jersey, our fans knew where I was coming from. The fact that, yes, losing finals sucks. I hated it. I would give this jersey back right now if it meant I could lift the Leagues Cup and if we could go back in time and win that game in penalties. So,
Gordo,
how do you guys feel about that? Like, as if you guys were a teammate of mine, like, would you be like, damn, Dax, that's tacky. Like, I wouldn't want you to post something like that. Like, what would you guys say?
Well, that's why I don't get on Twitter, because you guys all know I say something stupid.
I love it. Twitter is unhinged. Twitter, it's unhinged.
It's forever been known that these guys are idiots behind a keyboard. You're an idiot.
Hey,
if you said anything about
Gordo,
this.
To that point, I do want to make one more point. Shout out to one of our Nashville SC fans, Denzel, on Twitter. I saw his response to me. I tweeted something out that I would talk about the jersey thing on the podcast. And Denzel said, most of the trolls and the people hating on this are Philly fans and Orlando fans. And the reason is because Philly got smashed by Miami at home, and Philly fans are probably bitter about that. And Orlando fans, we talked about it, Gargs. They're bitter because Messi, they feel like got preferential treatment from the refs, and they lost in Leagues Cup to Miami. So I guess I should take it with a grain of salt that the two fan bases crushing me for this both lost to Inter Miami in Leagues Cup in big games. So that helps me kind of understand a little bit more where this hatred is coming from. And you know what? I get it. It comes with the territory, man. If you're going to be active on social media, if you're going to interact with people, guess what? Learn to have a thick skin. I got a thick skin, but I'm just making sure our fans at Nashville understood where I was coming from.
Gordo, what does Beckham smell like?
I don't know.
What does Messi's boss smell like?
Dude, you guys want to hear a funny story about Beckham? After the game is over, your boy is super classy guy. He's coming around the field, shaking all of our hands after we lost, telling us how great we played. He comes up to me and he says something really nice. He's like, "Man, you're still doing it.
He said,
you're still playing."
You have the best co-hosts on your podcast, Major League Journeymen. I listen every week.
He said, "Hey, I'm waiting for the invite from Gordo." He still hasn't texted me to come on the pod. He was very nice, very great. He's like, "It's great to see you still playing. Like, you guys are playing great. Like, well done." He's like, "By the way, like, how's your brother doing?" Asked about Dustin McCarty because he played with Bex, I think in 2011 or 2012. And I said, you know what? He's doing great. He's actually here right now. And Bex was like, all right, tell him I said hello. I'm like, that's going to make Dustin McCarty's day right there. Excellent. What a guy. Gordo, I'm still waiting for you to get him on the pod, buddy. So just feel free to contribute in some way. Try to get him on.
Oh, no. It's a public call out, Gordo.
Huh?
I said, that's a public call out from Mr. Dax McCarty. What do you think? Next month? Don't you think you should come on and just discuss the first trophy in Miami history?
Listen, I'll get in touch with his people. Obviously, you know.
Hey, why don't you shoot your shot? Look, you shoot your shot with JJ Redick. Shoot your shot with David. That's your boy, right?
I promise you, I will shoot it this week. We'll see how much pull I got. See if
you are not ashamed of rejection. Don't even start with that. You're all set. Who's the best jersey you have, Gordo? If you had to say most prized possession in your jersey collection, who is it?
Jeez, that's a tough
Dax
one.
McCarty?
Top 5. You want the top 5 or you want the one?
Give me the top 3.
Top 3. Gosh, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings, dude.
You are.
You're not going to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't think many people care if they're in your top 3.
I'll tell you why. I got Rooney, Henry, Ibrahimovic, and Bex and Landon. Right. So I think it would be Landon's in my top 3 just because he's a good buddy of mine. I played with him for a long time, and Bex is up there too. And I would say Zlatan is the 3rd. You know, I know Henry's your boy, but I can't put him in my top 3. But that's a good one to have too. And Rooney, dude.
That's a strong top 5.
Yeah.
Dax is Messi's obviously your number 1.
He's the top of the mountain, boys.
Yeah,
doesn't get better than that. But you know what? It's a hard choice between him and the Alan Gordon Chicago Fire jersey that I do have.
Also strong.
And I got Schweinsteiger, which has been and I got Dax McCarty. I think I might have a Gargan stick as well. I don't know.
I have to say there's a train of thought out there, and I think Tyler Adams is the quarterback of this train of thought that like trading jerseys with your opponent, like it's a sign of weakness. Like I don't do it because I'm competing against these guys, blah, 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 whatever. I get that. That's fine. I look at it as I want to trade with my boys, with my friends, and people who I have admiration for because, like I said, I'm a fan of the game. And it's a sign that when I'm old and gray, when I'm 60, 70 years old, I can look back on these jerseys and when I have arthritis in the knees, when my hip feels like Gordo's, I can say, you know what, man? Back then, that was the best time of my life. I was doing what I loved, playing against players that are a million times better than I ever was. And they were gracious enough to trade jerseys with me. And it's a sign of respect. And I love that. Like, that's just how I feel about it. I don't think it's a sign of weakness to want to trade jerseys with great players. I just don't. I never have, and I never will.
That's cool. I would say that I'm on the other side of the fence. I played with a similar mindset that Tyler Adams has, or if that's
fair. And there's nothing wrong with that mindset. There's nothing wrong with it.
And I would say the only thing I was going to follow up with there was if I do have regret about anything in my career, it's probably not snagging a couple jerseys after games of playing against guys. And it's not for me because I got to experience that game. It's more now that I'm a father and I have children that are going to come after me that I can hand them stuff.
That's exactly it.
And
it's
that's
a legacy. It's a legacy thing,
part.
Man. It's a legacy thing, man. Like,
yep.
Sure.
I always have those games. I always have those moments. I always have that, but that's something different. And I would say if I was to go back and play another game, I still don't know if I would actually ask for someone's jersey after the game, but I do live with that now as in like, man, it'd be cool if I had a couple more of those things laying around.
And that's totally fair. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I've traded with a couple amazing players in my time. I've traded with friends, and I think all of them are just as special for different reasons.
Mm-hmm. So let's switch gears a little bit. Messi's got the Open Cup semifinal in Cincinnati. That's another home, really intense environment that Cincinnati puts out right now. That should be a tough one. Next test, MLS versus Miami, or Messi, who's going to knock him off the perch. He is undefeated. It's probably why it feels like that, because he hasn't lost yet. It's going to happen at some point. It'll be interesting to see. Almost like a cheat code, though, for Miami to get into the semifinals of the Open Cup without, and then bring in Messi, Busquets, Alba. I mean, all the changes that they've made and show up to a Final Four with that type of roster. All right, well, that's enough talk about the GOAT. I'm sure there's probably 1,000% chance that we'll bring him up again on next week's episode when we talk about his performance in Cincinnati. It'll be interesting to see, but I think we got to move on. So that was Dax. I'm sure heartbreaking, as we can all attest to. We were all pulling for you. I thought you had it, but you know what? There's still another championship out there for you. So we'll be cheering you on. All right, as will the fellow journeymen. We're all out there. Catch you guys later.